जय श्री राधे। श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय। सभी वैष्णवों को सादर सा प्रेम जय श्री कृष्ण। जय श्री कृष्ण। जय जय Shri Radhe. Today is day number 44. In the accounts of the 84 Vaishnava disciples of Sri Vallabhacharya Ji, resuming from yesterday, part 1 of the story of Rana Vyasa. Jagannath Joshi had in the beginning taken initiation from Rana Vyas, but now he heard that the latter had become the disciple of Sri Acharya Ji. Therefore Jagannath came to Godhra and met Rana Vyas. The two of them felt very happy, and Jagannath began to spend time there. Bhav Prakash. The pride of learning that had occupied Rana Vyas's heart and mind had now disappeared. He still, however, was proud about his control over his senses. In order to break this pride, Sri Thakurji hatched an interesting plot. Part 1 continued. By the wish of the Lord, Rana Vyas became friendly with the wife of the local governor of Godhra. Someone mentioned this in the local Muslim ruler's court. He sent his messengers to fetch Rana Vyas. Jagannath told his friend Rana Vyas and the lady to quickly leave the village. He stayed in Rana Vyas's house. He was just finishing off the midday services when those messengers came there. The messengers asked Jagannath where his friend was, but he retorted, "What do you need him for?" They said that he had committed an offence, and that as a result, the Hakim was ordering him to appear in court. Jagannath said that Rana Vyas had gone away on some business, but that he himself would come there and answer the Hakim's charge. The messengers took him in front of the ruler, who then asked where Rana Vyas was and why Jagannath had come in his place. Rana Vyas has had relations with the married woman, so why have you come here? You are Jagannath Joshi. I know you. You would not behave in such a way. It is Rana Vyas who is in the wrong, so please bring him here. Jagannath Joshi asked the Hakim to listen to him. Rana Vyas has done nothing wrong. Someone has made this story up about him. Rana Vyas is incapable of such behaviour. The Hakim asked him how he could be sure that this was true, and Jagannath said that he would do anything that he asked him to. The ruler then called for the metal rim of a wheel to be put into a fire until red hot. He told Jagannath to hold it in his hands, and if they did not burn, then he would know that Rana Vyas was innocent. Jagannath stood by the metal rims and said, "If Rana Vyas is guilty, then my hands will burn." As he said this, the metal rim cooled down, and Jagannath picked it up and put it around his neck. He stayed like this for an hour. The Hakim and everyone else present there called out to him to take it off, for they could see that he had told the truth. Jagannath asked if anyone else would like to put it around their own neck. The Hakim pleaded with him to just put it back down on the ground, which he did, and the floor there got burnt. Everyone there was amazed, and they praised him. The ruler said that he was very pleased with Jagannath and said he could ask him for anything that he wanted. "The only thing that I want is that when you find out who started this wicked rumour about Rana Vyas, then you forgive him and let him be." The Hakim was even more pleased to hear this reaction. "You have even spared the spreader of bad rumours," he said. "Otherwise I would have punished him as well. There are very few people like you on this earth." Jagannath then went back home, and Rana Vyas also soon came back. He thanked Jagannath Ji for taking so much trouble on his behalf. Jagannath Ji just said that a Vaishnava never acts degradingly. Bhav Prakash. All the pride that Rana Vyas had in his heart about being self-controlled then disappeared. Part 1 continued. Rana Vyas then focused on his seva and soon experienced his Sri Thakurji's personal contact. Bhav Prakash. This story teaches us that the Lord will not speak to us as long as we are proud. He usually arranges some sort of vituperation for his devotees so that they learn this lesson. A Vaishnava should never act in a debased way. Even if an accomplished devotee were to behave with you in a deceitful way, then you should still not look at this as a fault. For a true devotee would never act in such a way. One should see it as an act of God and always be compassionate to all living beings. Even if someone is a thief or a cheat, you should try to help them. This is the duty of a Vaishnava. All these principles are mentioned in this story. When Rana Vyas first left home, he travelled to see Badrinathji, Jagannathji and Dwarka. It was then that Rana Vyas had become the disciple of one Madhav Saraswati, a wise Brahmin, and later became Sri Acharyaji's disciple in Varanasi. This has already been recounted. Part 2. Rana Vyas left Godhra and started to live in Siddhapur. One day he and Jagannath were sitting on the banks of the Saraswati river, performing their evening ablutions. At that time, the husband of one Rajputani died. She came there to burn herself on her husband's funeral pyre. Jagannath asked Rana Vyas what exactly she would be required to do. Rana Vyas, shaking his head, replied that she would put her body next to the ghost of her dead husband and uselessly burn it. If she used such a perfect human body to serve the Lord, then she would surely be uplifted. By burning her body with a ghost, she is purposely wasting her life. Rana Vyas kept shaking his head. At that very moment, the Rajputani, warrior's wife, was looking at him. His head shaking caused her motivation to commit the act of sati, or mounting the funeral pyre, to cool off. She told all the people with her that she would now not be committing sati, that she had changed her mind. They told her that she would not be allowed to return home, that if she did, they would burn her anyway. "Okay, then I will not go home," she said. "Make me a hut here by the river, and I will live here. And if any of you try to burn me, you will be guilty of murder." She made everyone take an oath not to burn her. They burnt her husband's corpse and built her little hut on the river bank, and all went home. The next day, Rana Vyas and Jagannath Joshi went to the river Saraswati to bathe. The Rajputani approached him and asked, "Yesterday, why were you looking at me and shaking your head?" He replied that they had just been chatting, that it was nothing to do with her. She retorted, "Why are you not telling me the truth? When you shook your head and spoke, my whole motivation to commit sati left my head, and thus I was saved from burning. Tell me the truth and tell me what my duties now are, and I shall carry them out. You stopped me from burning, so now please grace me and instruct me." She was insistent. Rana Vyas then spoke up. "We were saying that after attaining a human body, it is a great waste to burn it together with a ghost. It is a squandering of this opportunity to serve the Lord through remembrance and praise, not to live life like this is mistaken and wrong." Bhav Prakash. If you have a human body, then it is only appropriate to serve the Lord with it. There is no status equal to this, hence the conversation. Part 2 continued. The Rajputani then said that she was in their shelter and that she would serve according to their every instruction, recognizing that in this way alone she could be redeemed. Rana Vyas advised, "At the moment you are in impure state because your husband died. Come back after some days when that impure period is over, and then we will tell you everything." The Rajputani bowed to them and went back to her hut. She was very anxious for that period to be over, and every minute seemed like an age to her as she craved to enter Sri Thakurji's Seva as per Rana Vyas's instructions. Bhav Prakash. She was a divine soul, hence this degree of impatience. In the eternal Leela, Indulekha has a Saki named Madhura, and Madhura's Saki is Nagavelika. Rana Vyas is Nagavelika. In turn, her Saki is Raseni, who here appears as the Rajputani. Therefore, the precedence is that the Rajputani follows the orders of Rana Vyas because of that previous Leela relationship. She in turn had full faith in him, knowing that he would deliver her. Part 2 continued. For the whole of the period of impurity of that Rajputani, Raj Vyas came every day to the riverbank to bathe. She saw him every day, always paid her respects, and asked when he would accept her. Soon the period was over. She bathed into a state of purity and sat on the river bank. Rana Vyas came there to bathe, and she approached him. She bowed low to him and begged him to grace her. He told her to come back the following morning, when he would tell her everything. She bowed to him again and returned to her hut. She felt so much separation that she could neither eat nor drink that day. The next morning she bathed and again sat by the river. Rana Vyas came there, bathed, and told her to bathe. He then gave her some silken cloth to wear, which she did. He sat her down and led her to meditate on the Lord and recite his name. As soon as she heard the names of the Lord, she began to experience the bliss of his love, and she begged Rana Vyas to guide her as to what service she could now carry out. He asked her to wash his dhoti and then come to his home. He also advised her to constantly chant the 8-syllable mantra. She was anxious to be given other service as well, so she washed his cloth very nicely and brought it to him. Rana Vyas was just completing the seva up to the lunchtime arati ceremony. He let her have the sight of Sri Thakurji and afterwards served her with the Mahaprasad. For some time she continued this service of washing Rana Vyas's clothes. She considered the chance to do such service as great luck, and did it with due care. She always ate at Rana Vyas's house. Bhav Prakash. The reason for this service is that as one cleans the clothes of such accomplished devotees, One becomes purified from the inside out. As the dirt gradually leaves the cloth itself, at the same time, she was purified from the anger, lust, pride, envy, and greed, etc., which was her internal impurity. Part 2 continued. After this, she began to take care of the outer service of the Lord, doing all the housework, preparing the vegetables and other foodstuffs. After many days, Sri Acharyaji came there. Rana Vyas brought him to his house. He humbly recounted the story of the Rajputani's story to Sri Acharyaji and requested him to bless her by initiating her. Sri Acharyaji recognized her to be a divine soul, so he obliged her with the Lord's name and Brahma Sambandh. After some more days, he left Siddhapur for Dwarka. Thereafter, the Rajputani began to serve in the Lord's kitchen. He began to bless her with his direct experience. In this very manner, that Rajputani attained the beloved Lord through her contact with Rana Vyas, Bhav Prakash. Here we learn that contact with great devotees is most important. One may worship the Lord or chant his names, but it's the company of devotees which really brings one close to the Lord, because devotees are most capable. A moment of their company can persuade the Lord to shower his grace. In this way, Rana Vyas was a great and graced devotee, whose mere company purified the life of that Rajputani. Thus concludes Varta 32, the story of Rana Vyas, a Sanchora Brahmin from Godhra, although there is really no end to his story. We rest from the recitation today. At this point, Jai Shri Radhe, Shri Vallabhadhi Ki Jai, Sab Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna, and we will continue tomorrow with Varta 33, the story of Ramdas, a Sanchora Brahmin from Rajnagar. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.